Hi, I'm Iris Matthews, a romance author, and we're jumping right back into our conversation about point of view. Today we're going to be discussing third person limited. Third person limited is another point of view with a little bit of distance. Omniscient gives us a lot of distance with a really strong narrator, but limited third person is going to stick to one character at a time at least and really follow them getting inside that particular character's head. However, third person limited does allow us to have a little bit of freedom in seeing some surroundings that the character themselves might not note, unlike first person. So let's dig in today. We are going to be reading some excerpts from A Killer's Game, a thriller novel by Isabella Maldonado. So this story is told from three different characters' points of view. The main protagonist, Daniela, Danny Vega, her boss, Steve Wu, and the villain, known as Nemesis. These vantage points never overlap. Rather, they are contained within their own chapters to avoid head hopping and confusing readers. So let's jump in. Chapter 1. FBI Special Agent Daniela Vega assessed her environment and calculated her chances. She had less than 7 minutes to get to her meeting with the special agent in charge of the New York Counterterrorism Division. The barista shouted her name above the din. "Dark roast, black with an extra shot," he said, handing the cup to her. "That should jumpstart your day." It would take a lot more than a jolt of caffeine from strong coffee to get her heart pounding. She should not have registered the brief interaction, yet she did. Some would call it hypervigilance, but to her, it was a combination of experience and situational awareness. On to Chapter 15. Wu walked into the interview room and tried to project an air of calm, when he scarcely believed what he was about to suggest. When he had assured Vega she was the correct person to conduct the interview, he'd referenced the fact that Toro had appeared upset at being bested by a woman. What he didn't share was the litany of observations he'd made watching Toro's body language. Increased respiration, flushed skin, and dilated pupils when he looked at Vega betrayed his attraction to her. Tense muscles and a deep scowl also indicated his feelings were conflicted. Undercover investigations were among the most dangerous in law enforcement, and Wu was gambling that sending Vega in with someone who viewed her differently than he would a male agent might make Toro hesitate if the colonel gave the order to harm or kill her. For someone with Vega's training, a moment's hesitation on Toro's part was all the edge she needed. Chapter 16. Danny followed Wu from the interrogation room with every intention of questioning her orders. New agents dreamed of working a high-profile case in an undercover capacity. On the other hand, she was being partnered with someone depraved. Wu had his reasons for selecting her for this mission, and she wanted to know what they were. All right, we're going to backtrack to Chapter 10 now and get another point of view. Fortunately, a slight adjustment to the timeline would ensure none of them would escape justice. Escape. The word had taken on a special meaning over the years. Starting from a place of darkness, it had become a hobby that had morphed into an obsession. Puzzles, riddles, and clues provided mental challenges in virtual escape rooms. What if the room wasn't virtual? The senator thought he was above the law, but he had no idea that an unknown nemesis was about to hold him accountable for his actions. nemesis. The word brought thoughts of vengeance and a smile. Senator Sledge would go down never knowing who his real nemesis was. Poetic justice for a man who destroyed others without getting blood on his own manicured hands. The new identity was perfect. Nemesis would be the name to use during the next phase of the plan. Nemesis would make sure everyone involved would reap exactly what they'd sown. All right, so let's talk about what's going on in these passages. We see that we are really tightly leashed to each POV character when we're in their point of view as limited third person. We still are having those she, he, they pronouns to help us kind of know who we're sticking with, but we still have their thoughts and feelings, their motivations and emotions. But we aren't having to notice every single thing through the lens of their eyes. With that said, Maldonado had to do some tricky business here. In that last piece that we read from chapter 10, in the point of view of Nemesis, we don't get any gendered pronouns at all. And that is because the identity of Nemesis is a big twist in this novel. So I suggest you go and read it for yourself. Thanks for joining me.